Writing a research proposal. This is a lecture presented by Professor Touria Drid. It is part of a methodology course for master's students at Qasem Erbah University of Worgla. Writing a research proposal is a task in academic writing that you will face one day in your academic journey. When you write a good research proposal, you convince the others that your research is worth doing. Let's learn how to write it. Let's have a look at the contents of our course. We'll begin by clarifying what a research proposal is. Then we'll explain the purposes of writing a research proposal. Why is it written? And finally, we'll come to learn about how is it structured. The lecture provides basic definitions, illustrative material, and concrete examples. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to produce a text that the others will be forced to accept. So let's begin. A research proposal is a document. It is a text. It is a genre or an academic writing genre, like an essay, a dissertation, a report. All genres have conventions or rules that guide their writing. These are accepted within a community of writers. Each genre has a communicative purpose. It communicates something, and it is written for a specific audience. This applies to the research proposal. Firstly, the research proposal is a short document. If, for instance, we compare it with a dissertation or a thesis, it is much shorter than a thesis or a dissertation. It is a 3 to 5 page paper. A research proposal is usually around 2,500 words long, although there is no upper or lower limit to this. It is written by researchers in which they expose a research project. The length of a research proposal can vary quite a bit, and this depends on many factors. A bachelor's or a master's thesis proposal can be just a few pages, but proposals for PhD dissertations or research funding money here are usually much longer and more detailed. A research proposal is written before starting research. Before writing a research proposal, you have to check the requirements of your degree. Also, you have to check with your supervisor or research coordinator or the institution for which you are writing the proposal about the length of the document you will write. I said that the research proposal is written before starting research. So, you write the research proposal first, in which you expose the project, then you do research, and when you finish, you arrive at your findings, you will produce a thesis or a dissertation. We can say that a research proposal is about the future of your research, but a thesis is like a report. It is about the past. A research proposal is about what you will do, while a thesis is about what you have done. The research proposal has the goal of providing the potential reader. The reader here can be a supervisor or a committee, a whole committee, to provide them with a detailed procedural plan about the issue under investigation and the way it is going to be addressed. At the heart of a research proposal, there is an issue or research problem. and there's also a methodology. It is a complete plan. Researchers write proposals for many reasons. Sometimes researchers aim at getting funding from some coordinators or corporates. They provide money to support the project. And sometimes as a student like you might have to write a research proposal as part and prior to starting your thesis or dissertation. You are compelled to submit it to your department. In some cases, students, especially the doctoral students, write proposals in order to be accepted in a university based only on their research proposal, and sometimes it is a partial condition. Based on this, it's important to acquire the skills of writing an acceptable research proposal. Essentially, the research proposal provides information about what is to be investigated. Here, a research proposal should present your idea or question or questions and expected outcomes with optimum clarity and definition. This is the what of the proposal. Secondly, the research proposal provides information about the why of research. Why is this research important? Why is it worthwhile? Why at all conducting this research? Who is going to benefit from this research? Are there stakeholders who will take advantage of this research? Is it going to develop some sector or to bring about some changes to some situations, or sometimes to bring about clarifications for ambiguous issues? So the why in a research proposal concerns the question and how it is significant and the value it will bring to your discipline. Once you have stated with clarity what the research is about, that is to say the topic itself or the area or the field, the why, that's to say the significance, you have also to say something about the how. The how concerns the methodology. How is the problem going to be investigated? Here you should provide sufficient details about your methodology. Beware of writing proposals which are incomplete in terms of what, why, and how, because once you start research, the ambiguities that you have not resolved in your research proposal will pose practical problems in conducting research. So the clearer the research proposal, the more detailed the research proposal, the easier your work will be. Now about the structure or the shape of a research proposal. Usually proposals are formatted according to well-defined rules and guidelines provided by the institution which will receive it. Sometimes institutions prepare manuals, ready-made manuals for the students to use in order to produce an acceptable research proposal. But in the absence of a manual, if your institution doesn't provide you with a manual, there are some common parts or sections, there are common rules that you can learn about. Why is a research proposal written? What are the purposes? Through writing a good research proposal, you will do many things. It serves the researcher and the research itself. The first purpose of writing a research proposal is knowledge. Research proposals demonstrate one's knowledge of the subject area, and they clearly explain the design adopted to complete one's research. It demonstrates, in fact, your comfort and familiarity with your field. It shows that you understand the current state of the research on your topic. Here, the research proposal serves as a window on who the researcher is and what the researcher knows. Through this text, you demonstrate to the reader that you really master what you are writing and you master research itself. The second function of a research proposal is focus. Doing research is not an easy activity. To conduct research, you will find yourself in a circle that is sometimes cyclical, sometimes leads you to diverge from your initial point. Research should be controlled, and this is the function of the research proposal. This document permits the researcher to focus his research ideas, and it serves as a useful document to prevent the researcher from losing track of the research line. Without a research proposal, you may start doing something, but at the end of the cycle, you find yourself doing a completely different thing. Here, the research proposal makes your work controllable. It works like a roadmap which shows the points that you are going to cross from the first till the last. With the help of the proposal, your pathway is very clear. The third function of a proposal is related to information. It provides all the information. Information here covers the field, the area, the topic, the questions of research, the issue, the significance, the methodology, the procedures, the setting, the time, the place, and many other aspects. All this is needed to evaluate the proposed study. Finally, the research proposal helps in writing a successful thesis. With a research proposal in hand, half of the thesis is written, in fact. What is missing is only the data that you gather and the findings. The only difference in the language of the proposal between a proposal and a thesis is that the proposal will be written in the future form because things will be done in the future, while the thesis will use other tense forms. But the content is almost the same. As such, the research proposal is considered the most significant step in the entire research enterprise. Now that we have clarified what a research proposal is and its functions, let's talk about the way it is structured. We mean here the main parts or the main sections or components of a proposal. Remember that the core of the proposal answers the what, the why, and the how. In addition to these, supplementary sections also appear. Firstly, we should say that the format and the contents of a research proposal vary between fields, but most proposals will contain at least the following elements. We should note that in the literature, the terms used to name the sections of a research proposal vary considerably. The researcher, in this case, should always refer to what is provided by the institution to which they are applying or to which they are writing the proposal, and use the same terminology. We should note also that each of the sections of the proposal that we are going to list here in the lecture do complete each other, and each one of them serves a specific purpose. Now, what are these components? The first element is a working title. The title summarizes the study. Basically, the title is a title. It's not a statement or a question. Note that the title of your proposal would not be necessarily the title of your final thesis, because in the course of research, you may make modifications to your design or the direction of your work. Therefore, it is a title that you will start with, but can be subject to further modifications. Usually, students write their final titles after the viva voce. We mean by that after defending their thesis. The next element is the background section. The function of this section is to contextualize research or to set the scene. It works like an introduction, and sometimes it is called the introduction. This section generally starts with broad statements related to the field or the subject area and progressively narrows the focus until it reaches the topic. It is in fact like a funnel. The third section is the statement of the problem. This section clearly articulates the research issue, the problem to be solved. It contains the research objectives, the research questions or question, and the hypothesis, if any. It is important to note that the statement of the problem emerges from an observed gap. We call it a gap or a research niche. The next element is the preliminary literature review. We mean by the literature what has been done about a topic so far, or simply previous research. The literature review provides a conceptual framework for the study. Sometimes this section doesn't appear in a research proposal when the background section and the statement of the problem sections are detailed. The next element is research design and methods. This is related to the how of research. This section gives all the necessary details about how the goal will be achieved. In other words, it details the methodology of the work. It covers the approach, the methodology, the data collection methods, the data analysis procedures, the setting, the measurement procedures if they are applicable to the discipline, the populations, the samples, the sampling designs, and anything that clarifies the methodology of your study. Next, the researcher should include in the proposal something on the ethical issues. This concerns any ethical aspect or any ethical side of the study, problems that may be faced, and how the researcher intends to guarantee that they act ethically. After that, the researcher would write something on the proposed chapters of the thesis. Moreover, the researcher will discuss the problems and the limitations of the study. Of course, these are anticipated problems and limitations. The researcher here should clarify what the problems that may arise are in relation to data collection or whatever, and how they are going to act. Writing about the problems and the limitations, especially the limitations of a study, helps achieving objectivity in research. Next, in a proposal, there should be a time frame, or it is also called the work schedule. This is a detailed plan of how time will be managed. Finally, the research proposal should contain all the references that have been employed by the researcher, especially in the literature review and the background sections. To conclude, when writing your research proposal, and by including all these components, or most of them, you're going to make sure that the proposed study is realistic and manageable. Your roadmap is ready and you can start.